Coming Friday, October 3rd, to the PNC Bank Arts Center, the Garden State Arts Foundation is putting on a free show featuring the Rascals, their 60th anniversary celebration, and Gary Lewis and the Playboys. And the host for the evening is the legendary Cousin Bruce Morrow. Bruce, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, my cousin Jim. Always a pleasure seeing you. You and I have met several times on the road, the broadcast road somewhere. So it's nice to be with you.
So I want to take you back to the Rascals because to me, I associate them highly with WABC. And the song that I think of the most is People Gotta Be Free from the summer of 1968. Because, Bruce, that song, that record just jumped out of the speakers.
Well, and they were told by their record company not to release it. The record company did not want that released, but Felix and the boys fought them, and boy, they were right. But let me take you back a little bit with some history, if I may, about the Rascals. They kidnapped me. That's the first time I met. This is a very funny story. I was finishing my WABC show at that time, and the security guard said, "There's a bunch of guys down here, a new band, and they'd like to meet you." Well, Jim, in those days, we welcome people. We weren't afraid that somebody was going to commandeer the radio station, which is not so funny because it happens. And they came up and they said, introduced themselves, and we're the Young Rascals. And they came up because Sid Bernstein was managing them at that time, and he was a good friend, a close friend. And they came up and they said, "We want you to come to our first show at a place called the Phone Booth in New York City," which is kind of an interesting place. You'd sit at tables and everybody would have a telephone and you could contact other tables and talk and, make out a little bit and meet some new people. Well, they shoved, I got through my show, they stayed there. I played their new record, right? Good Lovin'. And they took a muskrat coat, a big football muskrat coat, and put it around me and said, "Come with us." And they took me by taxi to the phone booth. That's the way I first met them. And it was pretty obvious watching them work that night that we were going to have a big star group. They were that good. They were that good. But People Gotta Be Free, your original question, was a very negative at that time to the record company. Felix said to him, "No, this is going to be a big hit." And boy, was he right. It had everything we needed at that time. And at that time we've had some pretty bad things happening, assassinations, which unfortunately we're still going through politically. And I don't know what the heck's going on with this nation of ours, but I hope that someday we'll be able to get together and calm everything down and get back to where we were building. Uh, the song was so poignant, and it just hit everybody, left and right. It hit everybody. People got to be free. So it was one of those medium songs, and just great. And it stands up today. It's even more important today. So they hit on something. They hit on gold.
Yeah, it's definitely timeless lyrics to that. And then you take a look at Gary Lewis and the Playboys. And Bruce, I think we underestimate just how big they were. Their first seven singles hit the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely unprecedented, Jim. They they went on. First of all, he's out. Obviously, we all know he's Jerry Lewis's kid, right? They never, if you ever read the biographical material on Jerry Lewis and Gary Lewis, and they never really got along too well. Jerry Lewis, was on his own road, and I can tell you some stories about that one and another cast that we do. Um, he was determined to make it. Dad helped him a little bit, but who helped him the most? This might surprise you. Gary Lewis's mother. She became really his mentor and manager, and she really used her contacts to put him through. Right? Seven big records in a row on the charts. Unprecedented. And they're terrific. I keep in touch with Gary pretty often, and anytime I get a chance to have him in one of my shows, I grab at him. I think he's terrific. I really think he's terrific. And the idea of having all those records, one after another, nobody's ever done that, really, except maybe the Beatles
Except maybe the
and
Beatles
Elvis.
and Elvis. Um, we just celebrated the 60th anniversary, speaking of the Fab Four, of the Shea Stadium appearance by the Beatles. And it wasn't the first time, of course, that they had played in New York City. They had been here the previous year, two dates at Forest Hills. But what was it, Bruce? And this was the first show of that 1965 American tour. What was it from that night that stands out for you at Shea Stadium?
Well, meeting them, Shea Stadium, I hosted the show with Ed Sullivan. And uh, by this time, Beatlemania was really reaching almost its peak. And no matter where you went, you would see a picture of John, Paul, George, or Ringo. You went anywhere. You went into a restroom, it'd be on the walls. You went into a supermarket, there it was. The only place I didn't see was in the post office, thank goodness, at that time. The the Shea Stadium thing, as soon as you said that, I get this image, and we were in the batting, the where the baseball players. I'm not a baseball guy. Baseball players, the dugout. Okay,
Dugout.
I was digging for that dugout. Bad pun. We were in the dugout, and the boys were brought to us. Place was jammed. We were wall to wall and belly to belly in that particular place. And they brought John and Paul over to me, and we were just getting ready to go on the stage at Shea Stadium. The place was a cacophony of energy. I always like to say it's a little bad of joke, but Con Edison, which is our electrical uh, guy, our utility, could have turned off their turbines at that time because there was so much electricity and energy and power in that Shea Stadium with the 60 some odd thousand, crazy wild people that the energy was just flowing. They were scared. John was very, very nervous. And Paul was extremely nervous because you felt that there could have been an impending disaster anytime because there was so much excitement and energy. And I looked at them and they said to me, John said to me, cousin, and that's what he called me, cousin. Cousin, is this going to be okay? Are we all right? Are we in any danger? And I said, I took my fingers and I crossed my fingers, as if say, I'm going to tell a lie right now, but I'm hoping that it'll be okay. I put my hands behind my back and crossing my fingers and I said, boys, guys, this is going to be fine. They're here for one thing. They're here for love. They're here to share space with you. My fingers were crossed because I was scared stiff. I don't think I was ever that nervous or scared in my career because, as I said, you felt the crowd. It was so. Matter of fact, to this day, if I think about it, I can conjure up that feeling in my chest, the pressure. Well, it got time to go, and Ed Sullivan and I were asked to introduce the boys. And we started climbing up what I call the scaffolding. It was on home base, and we started going up. And about two steps up, Ed Sullivan turns around to me, and he says, "Brucie, is this going to be all right? Is this going to be dangerous?" And for some reason, I wanted to get him. I don't know why, because I just knew he didn't even understand rock and roll. He didn't really care. And I said to him, Ed, this is going to be very dangerous. I think we might be in trouble. And he turned to me again and with his eyes bulging and said, "We're in trouble?" I said, "Yes, yes, Ed. This could be dangerous." And of course, I was scared stiff too. He walks up another step and he turns around and he says, "What do we do, Brucie?" And I looked at him with my eyes wide open and I said, "Ed, pray." And he looked and he said, "Pray?" And he went up and we introduced him. Now, the postscript to this whole thing, Jim, is that evening was peaceful. Not peaceful, it was wild, but nobody really got hurt. The crowd was there, as I said, for one reason, to share space with them and to love. Because by this time, Beatlemania was at its peak. And we had a heck of a show. Because I remember during the show, the New York NYPD and the security of Shea Stadium asked me to walk around with them, to calm the kids down, which I did. And they had their hands on the chicken wire and the fences and the security, and we just pried them off and we talked to the kids. And I must say, NYPD was terrific. They were very understanding, and we calmed everyone down, and we had a hell of a show. PPPS. I never heard the show. I never heard them sing until maybe 3 years ago. You could not hear a thing. It was amazing, that energy, right? I finally got a hold of a bootleg copy, and it was a pretty good concert. They only did, what, seven, eight songs. After the first song, they couldn't even hear themselves. And it was a concertless concert, but they were there. The audience was there for that one thing, to be with them, to share space. Beatlemania.
We talk about Beatlemania and the influx of British bands, the British invasion, if you will, 64 and 65. But there was another thing that was going on that you were a part of, and that comes out of Brooklyn, where you are from. And I look at the number of songwriters and artists who came out of Brooklyn at around that time: Neil Sedaka, Neil Diamond, Carole King, Jerry Goffin, Barry Mann, Ellie Greenwich. Bruce, what was in the water?
You hit it on the mouth. You hit it right on the head. It was in the water. Brooklyn, it's in the air, right? Creativity is in the air. Water, there's something in that water, I'm telling you. I think that's mixed with egg creams. You know what an egg cream is?
I do. I'm from Queens originally. My mom is from Brooklyn, as a matter
Oh,
of
good.
fact.
Okay. Then you were brought up on the wine of the gods, which is really, really, I must say, I take credit. Not, I don't take credit, but Brooklyn takes credit for the proper formulation of an egg cream. Now, an egg cream just can't be, put into a glass. It has to be formulated properly in order to do the magic. That was the magic, right? The magic. Brooklyn had a real wonderful neighborhood feeling about it, Cousin Jim. You'd walk down the streets, everybody would look each other in the eye. When you like somebody or you want to communicate, there's nothing better than you and I are doing right now. I'm looking at you right. That's what I'm concentrating on you right now as we watch each other. I'm concentrating on your eyes. I am an eye guy. And really, anybody in the field of speech will tell you the first contact that you make when you go into a room, you want a job or something, contact the eyes. The eyes tell everything. Brooklyn had that. The eyes were there. We looked at each other. We innocently enjoyed each other. We had a good time, and we accepted each other, no matter what race or what ethnicity you were, what religion you were. We had a good feeling for each other, and we accepted each other. That then translated into poetry, vis-a-vis into music. There's your answer.
Again, I want to point out the date. It's Friday, October 3rd at the PNC Bank Arts Center. It is a free show. It's being put on by the Garden State Arts Foundation with Felix Cavalieri, the Rascals, celebrating their 60th anniversary, and Gary Lewis and the Playboys, and your host for the evening, the legendary Cousin Brucie. You can get tickets and information at gsafoundation.org. Again, the website, gsafoundation.org. Cousin Brucie, thank you so much for your time. This is going to be a great evening of music, and I appreciate you coming on to talk with us about it.
Well, I hope that you'll be at the show. It's going to be a wonderful show, a great reunion for me and for the audience. PNC is a very special place for me, and it's my home, my theater, my residency home, and I love it very much. And Jim, thank you so much for the time, and a pleasure seeing you again. You're looking good, my cuz.